Imagine being a senior in college right now, facing the bleakest job market in decades in this country, unemployment at a 27-year high, 10.2%. The real unemployment number as high as 17%. Michigan State University saying grads are now facing 40% fewer job prospects. 8% of employers say they have been lowering starting pay by 5%. The average starting salary now just under $40,000. Those dollars, of course, worth 20% less than they were a year ago because of the devaluation of the currency by our government in order to bail out the banks. So you can imagine that the students might freak out a little when they learn that their college in the same year will be raising tuition costs by 32%. That's what appears to be about to happen across the board at the University of California, where a final vote is expected today. 14 people were arrested in noisy protests outside of UCLA yesterday. We already know California is a budget mess, and we know that college endowments have been murdered by some of the bank practices. But why do they need to raise tuition by 32%? But again, we may have just answered our own question. The budget mess and the obliteration of college endowments through bank scams and schemes, putting students on the hook for huge markups into a terrible job market. Joining us now, the president of the University of California Student Association for the entire UC system, Victor Sanchez. He's a senior right now at UC Santa Cruz, which is an awful nice place to get an education, I must say, having only visited once. A little jealous, Victor. But anyway, also with us, Farnoosh Tornabi. She, a money coach on the TV show Bank of Mom and Dad, and works with young adults specifically on debt. So you can see where we're headed here. It's not pretty.
It's not pretty.
But you're going to help.
I will.
If we're going to control what we can control for Victor.
I'm here to help.
But first, we have to understand exactly how bad the problem is. Victor, what are you protesting?
We're protesting the increased privatization of our public education. We've seen since 2001 our fees have risen over 160%. We have low-income families, those who come from communities of color as well, that are going to be pushed out of the university. And quite frankly, paying $10,300 in fees just to attend a public institution is just unacceptable for a lot of our students who really just cannot afford to keep going here at the University of California.
Who do you blame for the tuition hikes?
You know, we can blame the regions, we can blame the state, but when it comes down to it, it's really a mismanagement of our university system. It's a lack of priorities on behalf of the state, and it has to be a collective responsibility here.
If you were to look at the protests, 14 people arrested. You know, obviously you're the president of the group, so you have a vested interest. But what actually strikes me when I look at how bad the job prospects are, how screwed up the banking system is, and how it basically exploited college endowments as one of its favorite stomping grounds to pick off dumb money and blow it in the financial markets, I'm surprised that there aren't more of you.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is that, first of all, you know, it costs money to take us and to bring us all to one place, specifically UCLA. That's why yesterday you saw actions taking place at all 10 UC campuses. We had over 2,000 students at UC Berkeley, over 500 in Santa Cruz, Riverside as well, San Diego, Merced. Everybody had actions going on yesterday. So this is not just one, you know, grouping of hundreds of thousands of students, but, you know, we had actions taking place all throughout the whole state.
Yeah, we know the story, Farnoosh, and not to mention, and the Congressional Budget Office did a great job with this, making this point, which is for every 1% increase in unemployment the year that a senior like Victor graduates, it correlates to an average 6% reduction in overall compensation in their salary, not just this year, but for years and years to come. Basically sets the bar low. We can go on and on about the problems. How does somebody like Victor and people that are protesting like Victor
Well, first of all, I have to say, don't let this shatter your dreams of ever accomplishing a college degree. First of all, don't let this break your stride. And second of all, I know it's emotionally difficult to deal with, financially difficult to deal with, but second of all,
some people just don't have that kind of money.
They don't. And 30% of the UC students are eligible for free tuition, okay? And that's because their households earn less than $70,000 a year. So that's one reason I think that this is not as big of an uproar as we're seeing, although not to diminish this situation. First thing you want to do is realize that this, at the high end, is going to cost students about $2,500 by the end of next year. So how do you shore up $2,500? Do you get a part-time job? Do you take out a peer-to-peer loan at Prosper.com or LendingClub.com? Do you commute from home to diminish your traveling costs to live? You know what? My brother goes to UC Irvine Dylan, and he is considering transferring. A lot of his guy friends are going to community colleges. They're thinking outside the box, but at the end of the day, their end game is to get an education at whatever cost they can afford. It may not be at a UC school, so take your business elsewhere.
Victor, how does it make you feel that our government legalized a system of using your college endowment as a gambling chip for bankers to earn bonuses, and now you got to get a part-time job to come up with the $2,500, or whoever you may be? Everybody in this country, whether you've been thrown out of your job, your house, or have to pay more for your education, it's all been done to indulge the beautiful bonus seeking of our banking system.
Yeah, well, I mean, it feels kind of bad, and make that 3 part-time jobs. You know, a lot of our students who don't even receive financial aid have to work so much, you know, just to keep up. I think, you know, numbers are very good on paper, and, you know, it may seem practical, but it doesn't take away from the actual real stories and the real experiences that a lot of these families are facing. And right now, you know, when you have prison spending being more than UC, CSU, and community colleges combined, I mean, that's a big issue in this state. And, you know, quite frankly, we just cannot keep, we cannot keep affording to pay, you know, the ridiculous interest rate on student loans. We need more direct loans from the federal government. We need more state-supported aid to make sure that we can go through and, you know, reach our aspirations.
It has to be a collective effort, no doubt. But what I'm hearing from Victor is that he's given up, and I hate that. You know, it scares me, because if there's anything that this country,
well,
I think,
hold on, he didn't say that. Did you? Have you given up, Victor?
He says,
I have not given up.
He hasn't given up. Look at that guy.
I was testing you, Victor. I was testing you, because it sounds like you're getting down on the situation. You really need to mobilize, and because you're a student leader, this is now your time. Okay, think of it like this. Right now, it sucks. Okay, but you have the most to gain, the least to lose right now when you look at the long term. So saddle up, mobilize your troops, and get an education, no matter how much it costs.
Victor,
I think students understand that point. I think students understand that point, and, you know, we've been saying this for years, and it's not as if we just had to come out of the woodwork now. You know, this has been something that has been underlying the subtext of this whole economic crisis, is that the human capital, the future of this state, is really in jeopardy. You know, we've been out here. We're not going to stop. You can't stop students, because, for one, nobody can tell us what to do. And quite frankly, we're going to keep mobilizing, keep going to the state. We're going to keep advocating in district, in Sacramento. We're going to keep having actions on our campuses, and we're going to make sure that the public of California knows what is going on with their university system.
And if you go to Santa Cruz, you have to make some time for surfing.
Surfing, running, everything.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, you're still
in
University of California, so I want you to enjoy yourself, you know. I would, anyway. I didn't get to go out there.
We're trying. It's kind of hard.
It's kind of hard. What do you mean? The weather's beautiful. What the heck? It's, you know, raise hell and then go to the beach.
Well, because, you know, quite frankly, we would love to focus on the issues that are occurring around in the world, but when we have to focus on trying to stay here and to get here to begin with, it really deters from our civic engagement and our ability to kind of become engaged world citizens. And it's horrible that we have to focus so much of our time on just trying to maintain ourselves and retain ourselves on these campuses, because that is not what it is. That's not what our education is supposed to be used for. You know, we're supposed to be out there, you know, making social change, creating the change that we want to see, and not be worrying about paying our fees just in order to stay here and have the privilege of being at the university.
Victor, you are getting absolutely screwed 10 different ways, and I applaud you for standing up not only on behalf of yourself, but on behalf of all the other students in this country who are getting absolutely screwed by these systems, and saying no more. We encourage and support your efforts, Victor. Thank you for the time and furnish. Thank you for helping try to navigate some of this.